It's the only app right now that at scale where you can earn and learn at the same time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Halving Report podcast. I am your host, Brad Mines. The price of Bitcoin is just under 30,000 US dollars, over 41,000 Canadian dollars, and there's only about 26 weeks left until the next Bitcoin halving. Today's episode will be especially valuable to newcomers to the space or people that have been holding through this past bear market, because we have none other than Yzer Jackson, other known as Bitcoin Zay, back on the show. We had Zay on the Halving Report with our good friend Justin Redrick, or known as Bitcoin Vegan on X. Shout out to Mike Valley for just being an awesome fan of the show. Today, we break down what exactly is happening in the Bitcoin space right now, what you should be doing if you are a Bitcoiner, and how to learn more while earning Satoshis at the same time. I'm really excited for today's interview, so let's just jump right into it. Welcome back to the Halving Report podcast, man. Thanks for doing this today.
Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be back, brother.
I kind of just looked back at our show back what we had with Justin, myself, and you. That was back in February 15th, 2021. I actually just had a pretty good chuckle. We were bullish as hell, man. I think we got a little taste of some gains, and like I was being conservative saying 100 grand. You guys are saying 200 grand.
I still think that by the halving or around the halving. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I asked you about BlockFi platform and a few other lending platforms, and you said you were too old school at the time to kind of be into those, but I guess that dated in your favor. Looking back, what are your thoughts on that and like kind of what's happened through this cycle?
Oh yeah, well, since that time period, we've seen a whole bunch of exchanges. We saw BlockFi, Voyager, Celsius. We saw Terra Luna go down. We saw a bunch of other smaller exchanges, and even though some people call me old school, this is my third bear market. I've seen this 3 times, man. Whenever everything's good, it's all good. Everybody's making profit. And they're like, oh, I got 8% on my Bitcoin and the prices are going up. And then when it's bad, it's really bad. Having a risk off asset is good enough. Yeah, and that's how, I view Bitcoin. And with the exchanges going down, I think it taught a lot of newbies a good lesson. You can't just go for whatever looks good or whatever's shiny at the time. Because again, to me, the prize is Bitcoin. Everything else is, you can involve yourself in it. But when things go bad, usually there's nobody there to pick up the pieces.
You're obviously educating on people about Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis. What would you say to a normie asking you what's going on with Bitcoin right now, considering where we're at in the current price?
We're at the stage of Bitcoin, where they say first they laugh at you, then they fight you, and the old saying that goes, we're at the fight you stage. And by fight you stage, what I mean is there's a lot of talk about the spot ETF. That's like the big thing. Like BlackRock may get in, and Vanguard and whoever else, like 6 different funds. But what they don't realize is that I think there's going to be a huge pushback against Bitcoin to suppress the price, which I think is what's been happening, just so they can get as much as possible before this ETF comes. So from a price standpoint, I'm looking at that. As far as innovation, I've seen so much innovation in this bear market. It's been amazing. I've probably followed about 100 new companies and new people with innovative ideas. I believe like 2 days ago, BitVM just came out. Drive chains have come out. Ordinals have come out since then. I mean, so much innovation, so many new startups. I'm actually consulting a startup now, Get Yzer on Twitter, which is Bitcoin financial app. So much innovation has happened. I'm excited about Bitcoin. Never been more excited in my life. It's not just Bitcoin. I've always said this. It's not just Bitcoin in a vacuum. The geopolitical part of the world is going to merge with Bitcoin. And we're seeing that right now. Bitcoin is at a point where we have one signal, which I always like, is my guy from CNBC. What's his name? Kramer. We got the Kramer reverse signal. He just said Bitcoin is going down today. So that's the first thing. The second thing is at a time period of uncertainty, which is starting to happen with all of the printing of money we're doing. That's happening at the same time. And then the halving is coming in about 6-7 months here. So all of this is happening at the same time. I've never been more excited for Bitcoin to enter the world stage. And then, at that point, there will be no more arguments. That's my main thing. I'm just tired of people that still have arguments. Like, come on, man. What are we arguing at this point?
Yeah, and that's something else we talked about when you were on last, is some of the people that are out here that are still naysayers. We talked about Schiff, but Kramer said it's going down, and then that's an indicator that the bottom is in. But you talked about the ETF. What is an ETF, and how is that going to give more people access to Bitcoin?
Oh yeah, so ETF. There's 2 different types. You have a futures ETF, which That has already started. That started in 2017 with CME futures and then CBOE. They were the first two that had ETF. It's an exchange traded fund. What that allows is for people to purchase in dollar amounts contracts of Bitcoin. And it's not actually buying Bitcoin. I just want to make that clear. But you have the ability to basically purchase a contract on Bitcoin saying that the price will be up or down at a certain date. Thing is, with futures, you can basically take out a loan, which is called margin, where you can actually increase the amount that you're betting and make money that way. If the price goes below a certain point, you got to pay back that loan, and that's what they call getting margin called, and you'll lose your position. However, a spot ETF is much more risk averse because you don't have the 10x, 20x wild future speculation. With spot ETF, you're buying Bitcoin at that price, and you're only making money on the value of Bitcoin up or down at spot price, which is whatever the price it is. So, no more over leverage. I remember people on BitMax doing 100x, and you got some of these other ones. I think Bybit got like 100x, stuff like that. When you put that in ETF form, that can be crazy. But with spot ETF, it's a lot simpler that way, and it's a way for people to get introduced. I call it a base hit. Some people are just not going to hold their own Bitcoin keys. They just don't want it. They're too old school. They're too much in the legacy financial market. However, it does get them to a point where they say, okay, well, I have this contract, and if I want to turn it in for dollars, I can. However, I think we're going to hit a point where people are like, I want my actual Bitcoin. Like, I actually want the Bitcoin so I can either use it or store my value. And that's when I think we'll see what I call hyper Bitcoinization, because I don't think most of these funds are going to have the Bitcoin they say they have. A lot of people are scared that there's going to be too much paper Bitcoin. And by that, we know Bitcoin has a set supply, 21 million. However, with paper Bitcoin, they can basically say, oh, it's 210 million Bitcoins in paper terms. However, once people take that paper and try and turn it in, all of a sudden you're going to have exchanges that say, we don't have it, or they're basically going to say nobody can sell Bitcoin right now, so the price is just constantly going to go up. How much are you willing to pay? And we've sort of seen that in small chunks, and I think that's what we'll see with this spot ETF. It's inevitable. It's just politics, man. I mean, Gensler, come on, man. He's pretty much stated that it's coming. Everybody else that's trying to fight it. They talk about crypto all they want, but we're talking about Bitcoin. So this is a totally different thing. And hopefully people understand the difference once it comes.
Zay, over the years, you've been very loud voice about Bitcoin only and, to invest wisely into cryptocurrency by, dollar cost averaging and stacking sats over time. In the podcast world, sometimes educating about Bitcoin isn't quite enough. So I'm going to throw a fun blitz question at you. And it's going to be, name the first cryptocurrency that comes to mind other than Bitcoin.
Oh, man, I got to give a shout out to the XRP people because they are relentless. I respect any person or any group that holds on to their beliefs. That really believes what they're investing in. XRP people, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where some people think XRP is going to replace the SWIFT banking system and that we're going to turn our money into digital dollars via XRP and using the Ripple protocol. I mean, like I said, I've debated XRP people. I've debated them live. I've debated them in person. I've even been quoted as saying that XRP is the only coin that both crypto people hate and bankers laugh at. It's the only one. But at the same time, hey, they got conviction. I got to give it to them.
Now, you've had a lot of initiatives over the years. How many Satoshi millionaires have you created?
Oh, man, it's hard to say. I will say I know at least a few thousand just from our work with the Satoshi Millionaire campaign with Cash App. Because with Black Bitcoin Billionaires, we have people calling in every day and buying 1 million Satoshis live. So at least a few thousand. But if they told other people, plus the books that I've sold, people on book tour, being on TV a few times, I would say at least in the 10,000, 20,000 range. And then whoever they told from there, I'm trying to get that up in the millions. That's why I'm advising the Yzer Bitcoin financial app. So try to get it as many as possible. One man army.
And so I downloaded the Yzer app. Is it Yzer or Get Yzer?
Well, Yzer is the name of the app. Get Yzer is the Twitter handle.
Yeah, very Bitcoin education focused. Also differentiates from Bitcoin and crypto. I've only just gotten started as I got my referral code from you the other day. But how far can you take this app? How does it work? And you can earn Satoshis?
You earn Satoshis higher up levels that you go. It's the only app right now that at scale where you can earn and learn at the same time. And right now our future plans have already kind of started. Today, we just actually had an announcement that there is a Bitcoin diploma program with My First Bitcoin, as well as the core 21M. They'll be using Yzer exclusively in order to give quizzes and homework to the people that they're teaching Bitcoin. We're trying to get this app into school systems as well as colleges. I have 4 colleges right now that I have to meet before the end of the month to try and get a comprehensive Bitcoin curriculum without having to go through the school or go through the rigmarole that goes with education. I worked in the education field. My mom did. My grandmother did. Bureaucracy sucks, man. It could take 3 years to get into schools. But if you show up with the app and you show up with referral codes and you say, hey, the kids can earn money while they do it, they're much more likely to do it. So not only colleges, but also high schools and entire school districts. I think this will be the Duolingo of Bitcoin, so to say. And then speaking of, we will have different lessons that will be in different languages very soon.
Zay, can you tell us about the book you're working on?
Bitcoin in Black America, the 2nd edition. When I tell you this has been one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my life, not necessarily writing the book. It was, tough getting through a lot of stuff, but being able to get it out, some of the red tape I've had to get through and battles I've had to fight on the back end, different stuff with production companies. And it's just, when the first book came out, I didn't think it would be that popular. I'm gonna put it like that. Once it did, a lot of people did not want to see the second book come out because of some of the stuff that's in there, but it's coming out regardless. But yes, the Bitcoin in Black America 2nd edition is a step up from the 1st edition. 7 all new chapters. It talks about Bitcoin privacy and running your own nodes. It talks about KYC free purchasing of Bitcoin. It talks about generational Bitcoin, how your kids can benefit, multi-sig wallets, keeping it long term. It talks about Bitcoin and marriage or divorce and child support, things with family. It talks internationally how Bitcoin is impacted, because since the first book, now have, El Salvador and Central African Republic have made Bitcoin a currency. So it discusses that. My favorite chapter is Bitcoin and reparations, because I don't know if people understand, but the Black American community, there's like a civil war going on for whether or not we should have reparations. And, I'm sort of on the outside looking in saying, hey, both of y'all are wrong. We should just focus on Bitcoin and forget all, you can't change the past and you're not going to convince these people of the future. So let's stick with Bitcoin. I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack for that, but I welcome it.
I very much put my politics aside once I started going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and said, you know what, fix the money, fix the world. Like,
right.
Let's start there, because so much stuff just stems from the money, the people having no wealth over time. I love the Bitcoin mantra that you're pushing and the education that you're continuing to spread there. Just to continue to talk tech for a moment, the Lightning Network's always a hot topic. I was wondering if you quickly break that down, what the Lightning Network is for us. How far along are we in its development?
Oh, yes. So the Lightning Network is described as a layer 2 protocol, which is on top of Bitcoin, to allow purchases very fast and very cheap. The white paper came out in 2016. Adoption started off kind of slow. However, as we started seeing use cases for medium of exchange, the medium of exchange era is coming, which is the next step in money after store of value. The Lightning Network facilitates those payments cheap and fast from you to another person instantly around the world for, less than a penny. River just came out with a report reporting that there was a 1,221% increase in Lightning transactions, which is good to see over the last 2 years. And I think that will be more astronomical as we get closer to that medium of exchange era. Bitcoin is proving itself as a store of value. The next step is medium of exchange, which we'll see with, layer 2s like Lightning Network, and then on to a unit of account. When people think about Bitcoin, I do know some people, they're kind of confused. When you say Lightning, they think that's another coin. They're like, well, what does Lightning do? And you got to kind of make sure they understand Bitcoin is the foundation, and Lightning is sort of, if you think of a house, if the foundation of the house is Bitcoin, Lightning is turning the lights on in the house, basically. Like, it's making it functional to a point where you can actually operate within this house. So, anybody that's using Bitcoin, I would suggest and encourage to use Lightning Network, test it out, see the fact that you can send somebody $50 and in 2 seconds and you pay less than a penny. I mean, it basically beats out every crypto there is with this layer 2, and it definitely beats out, the fiat currency model. So I would encourage anybody to try out Lightning Network and try out some different wallets as well.
Do you have a go-to Bitcoin meme?
I like the meme where it's Jesus with the whip. We're driving the bankers out of the... I like that one.
Oh, nice, man.
It's almost like a, spot on meme. That's one of the only ones that I came up with myself. Like, I just saw it and I was like, that's perfect. But other people have taken it and copied it and remixed it. But other than that, I still love the meme where it's the guy and the princess, and he's like, yeah, when Bitcoin hits $1 million, you're going to sell some, right? And then he just kind of looks at her and it's like, right? It's like, the real Bitcoin is to kind of look at you like, no, Bitcoin is the real money. I'm selling my fiat for Bitcoin. So I like that meme a lot too.
If you had to explain Bitcoin Bitcoin to a 5-year-old in one sentence, what would you say?
Digital money that your parents can't take from you.
I like it. I like it. Okay, one more. If you could have dinner with Satoshi Nakamoto, what's one question you would ask him?
What's your private keys? I take the Bitcoin and airdrop it to people all around the world. And we dismantle the system overnight.
That's super cool. Zay, I know you're a busy guy. I love your Bitcoin ethos. I really appreciate you coming on, catching my listeners and I up with what's going on in the Bitcoin space, with what you're working on. So thanks for doing this tonight, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, my man.
Hey you, thanks for listening to the Halving Report podcast. If you want to support, follow us on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a 5-star rating. Follow us on our socials at Halving Report. If you're Canadian and you want to buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrency for the first time, go to bitbuy.ca/halving for a $20 bonus. If you want to bring it to the next level and take self-custody of your cryptocurrencies, if you want $30 off the ultimate digital asset security device BitFi, go to halvingreport.com/BitFi for more information. Until next time, I'm Brad Mines.